Welcome to America's Commercial Real Estate Show, your source for intel, forecasts, and strategies. Hello, I'm Michael Bull. Thanks for being with us. I want to see if you've checked out Real Crowd. They're kind of interesting. You can invest small amounts of money on large institutional quality commercial real estate deals, and you're doing it with sponsors who are very experienced. Check out realcrowd.com. Well, today we're going to talk about logistics. We're going to talk about industrial. We can't do that without talking about retail and e-commerce and the impact on the economy. We're going to talk about the cycle. We're going to talk about interest rates' impact on real estate. Hey, is it time to buy or sell industrial real estate? Everyone was curious about this cycle. It's been a long one. It's been a good one. Seems like good times are ahead of us. Let's see what's happening. Please welcome my first guest, Barbara Denham. She's an economist with Reis, and she's joining us on the phone. Barbara, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Barbara, you can't make decisions today about if you're a user of industrial warehouse or distribution space or an investor without looking at how the industry is performing. You know, what are you seeing for rental rates and occupancy trends around the country?
Well, the industrial market has been very strong. Warehouse and distribution, the vacancy rates have been declining steadily. In the second quarter, it fell to 9.7 from 9.9 last quarter, and even as high as 10.3 last year. So we're seeing really strong, robust net absorption across the country, really. And in terms of rent growth rates in the second quarter was 0.6%, which is on par with where it was in the last few quarters. So the industrial sector is doing very, very well, but it's never going to be the darling of the real estate industry like the apartment market is, where rents can go up 2% a quarter. You know, it's just that really stable, strong industry where, it's a favored one by investors who like steady cash flow, but it's never going to be so robust that we're going to see such strong growth. Because if this had been the apartment market, we'd see much higher rent growth rates than this.
Right, and part of that's because just the demand, right? So how is the economy and e-commerce impacting industrial and warehouse space, and what do you expect moving forward?
Well, the e-commerce is having a huge impact on the industrial space. Warehouse and distribution growth is very strong. Even if you look at the employment statistics, the employment in the warehouse and distribution space is 5% year over year. That's above 1.6% nationally. So I think there's a lot of optimism for the e-commerce business in general. It's going to be taking more and more away from the bricks and mortar retail sector. And I think there's this general sense that this is going to continue. So there's a lot of optimism about the warehouse and distribution space going forward. But what we're seeing is a lot of developers have caught on to this. So we're seeing a lot of very strong construction across the country to capture more and more of this net absorption. So we may continue to see occupancy growth, and the vacancy rates will decline at a slow rate, but it's hard for rent growth to grow robustly when you have construction growing at the same rate as net absorption.
Yeah, that's true, and it's interesting to see industrial developers building spec space, because I think of industrial developers as being so conservative, but we're certainly seeing them build the space, and it looks like we need it, and it seems like there's good consumer confidence out there. What do you see in that arena?
Yeah, the consumer confidence is a lot stronger than we would have thought at this stage in the cycle, so that definitely drives a lot of consumption. There's not that much of an influence of the consumer, or I should say, the correlation between consumer confidence and sales isn't that strong, but it's still high enough right now that I think the consumption indicators that you're looking at within the GDP measures are very, very steady, growing at about 2% per year. So that momentum should carry forward for the next few quarters, and that will certainly affect e-commerce going forward. I think the bigger driver for e-commerce and consumption in general is the current stock market surge. As many people believe, the stock market increasing creates what's called a wealth effect. So people just feel wealthier when they know their stock portfolios are higher, and that drives a lot of consumption as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. And another thing that seems to help people have confidence, too, is when their home values are rising. What do you see in the residential market and the impact there?
Yeah, the housing market is really starting to pick up recently, but I think a lot of analysts and experts would have thought that the housing market would have come on a little bit more robustly at this point in the cycle. So homeowners are feeling very secure and very confident, but they're not putting their homes on the market. So the inventory of available homes is pretty tight, which means prices are going up. And that's great for the homeowners, but for those who are really dying to get into the homeowning market, it's very frustrating because they're facing higher and higher prices, so they're kind of stuck in the rental market. And what's really good about buying homes, as we saw in the last cycle, is it also drives a lot of ancillary consumption, like furniture and lawn care and the Home Depot type of spending. So that is picking up. It's just not increasing at the same rate as people would have assumed this deep into the expansion. So we're still seeing a lot of people kind of in the apartment market frustrated by the lack of available supply of homes for sale.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's interesting to see what all this means for the economy and the cycle and where we are in the cycle and what that means moving forward. So we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we're going to talk to Barbara Denham some more, Economist with Reis, about where we are in the cycle, what are some cap rates in this sector, and what we should expect moving forward. Stay with us. I'm Michael Bull. This is America's Commercial Real Estate Show.